All right, I think that worked this time. Hey, welcome up. It is Saturday night. I am Goodlow, and let's start this out real quick with the commercial for my buddy Corey Thomas. This is his book, man. I can recommend this 1,020 times. I'm just telling you, it's a game changer. So here you go.
Author Evangelist Corey Thomas, a dedicated servant leader whose weapons are spiritual in nature and volatile in impact. Hot off the press, author Evangelist Corey Thomas's new book, Sound Advice, Music and the Battle for Your Mind, Body, and Soul. Matthew 5:13, ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has lost his flavor, wherewith shall it be salted? It's author Evangelist Corey Thomas's new book, Sound Advice, Music and the Battle for Your Mind, Body, and Soul. Purchase your copy to help maintain that flavor in your spiritual walk. This book is epic. It's sold on every major online bookstore or go to CoreyThomasMinistries.com. I got my copy. Be sure to get yours. It's author Evangelist Corey Thomas's new book, Sound Advice, Music and the Battle for Your Mind, Body, and Soul. Get your copy today.
All right, I think I got it right for once. Let's do this. I like to start with a devotional. It makes my day a little better place. But as you can tell, tonight's going to be a little bit of a political discussion, just because of the blatant mess we're in right now. I like to state this. When I was talking to the CEO of Endure, her and I went over this a little bit, and it's amazing how far things have regressed in the last 6 years as compared to, in the 90s. It was a much different story. And I'm not dating myself. I'm just giving the reality of the situation. And again, we'll discuss that tonight and go through it. But if politics are going to turn you off, you don't have to watch. I'm going to give an insight into really what's wrong. I'm going to use psychology and just some facts. I pulled up some Bible verses and other things too. I mean, just literally discuss this because I, for one, am just a little bit. No, not a little bit. I'm really tired of the thing where if you're not Republican, that you're not of Christ, and Republicans are Christians without anything else. So what I'm going to go into is basically why Donald Trump is your choice as a Christian, or is it because you're just a Republican and you're voting as your parents have said, or your friends say, or as the TV tells you, or if your social influence tells you that. So we'll go through all that, but I wanted to do a commercial for Endure real quick while I'm at it. And that starts now.
Hi guys, I'm Lady Falana, CEO and founder of Endure Entertainment. When you think of clean entertainment, think of Endure Entertainment. When you think of Endure Entertainment, think of clean entertainment. The Endure Entertainment television personalities. We are the A-Team. We're more than just a team, we're family. Look at all of the different syndicated podcast directories we are on. Go ahead and download those apps so you don't miss our shows on the go. Endure Entertainment LLC started October 2021. Now we're in 17 countries outside of the United States. Featured in CBS, Fox, and NBC. Gospel Choice Music Awards nominated for Independent Broadcast Network of the Year. We do more than just TV. We also do virtual concert extravaganzas. Our last one this past January was off the chain. You can look at our shows, virtual concert, and TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at EndureEntertainment.live. Radio. Next coming up is going to be the radio station of the year on Endure Entertainment. Ever thought about having your own show, television, radio? Would you like to get some exposure with your radio edited version of your performing artistic abilities? Take a look at Endure Entertainment.
right. Now I'm back with you. So let's pick. I go over this every week, but pick up my devotional. It's a Celebrate Recovery 30th anniversary, 365-day daily devotional. And what I like to do is just kind of get into this and just turn to a random page and whatever it is, 9.9999% out of or 99.99% out of 100. Anyway, it always fits into what I'm talking about or what I've been doing or where I'm going with it or something else. All right, so today is going to be day 87, which is dry sponges. And this is 1 John 3:18. Dear children, let us not love with words or tongue, but with actions and in truth. One way to think about the recovery process, and again, I'll cover this every time, and this is recovering from mental illness or substance abuse or, just anything you can equate it to. One way to think about the recovery process is to imagine what water does to a dry sponge. We come into the process dried up and thirsting for life. We've tried other things, but so far nothing has helped. We've come to the realization that no one but our Creator is going to be able to provide what we so desperately need. In the same way, a dry sponge soaks up all the water it is exposed to. The Celebrate Recovery process allows us to soak up God's peace, love, grace, and forgiveness. Oh, how good that feels when our dry spirits soak up all the life-changing water. Eventually, though, we reach our saturation point. We can't hold anymore until we allow ourselves to be wrung out and those around us through our service. Then we can soak up some more. This is a healthy process because, as we all know, a waterlogged sponge left on the counter for a few days will begin to stink. The old saying, you can't keep it unless you give it away, is right. This is why service is so important. If we come into the process, soak up God's goodness, then fail to give back, we'll soon be like that waterlogged sponge. We become rancid and begin to smell. God's way is to fill us, wring us out, and fill us again. Here's the prayer for this one. It is, Holy Father, I love to feel your life-giving spirit flowing within me. Remind me to stay fresh and healthy by sharing with others what you've given to me. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. And I don't know why that tends to work every time, but it certainly does. And, that's just, I don't know. I'm not going to think into anything too hard, but that goes with spiritual warfare as well. My opinion, when I was dying in the hospital, that was part of what bothered me so much or scared me the most is I was empty and loss of God. I mean, there's no other way to put it. My life was dereliction, and it was it was going in the wrong direction for years and years, but I was too stubborn to admit it. And what that boils down to is when I started realizing my own mortality, and this is me with a 97% mortality rate. I say this all the time. I had a 3% chance to live. It started with like conversations with God and where did I get so lost? And, it wasn't poor me. Why is this happening to me? I knew exactly what I had done. I didn't start blaming people. And this is, and I'm going to say for once in my life, because it becomes such a wicked, trip of, it's always somebody else's fault. It's never my fault, and that's just the way it goes. So poor me, poor me, poor me, and others, an old saying that, old man, at when I was working at Toyota in High Point, North Carolina, told me that. And back then he could always smell the late nights on me before, and he'd say, "Well, we got a perfect job for you." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Car sales." And I said, "All right, well," he goes, "Well, you got a designated driver all day long." I was like, "Oh my God, that's so wrong," but it's partially true. All right. So to get into this tonight again, and I'm going to give my fair warnings where they come from. But if you're really, really far right, you probably don't want to listen to me. Or if you're really, really far right, you probably do and might want to learn something instead of just taking it from, your local news source. Because we all know that you go from, Fox News to Breitbart to Huffington Post to MSNBC, and you're going to hear different and varying opinions. But these are opinions, and that's really what bothers me about what we're going through now in the last 6 years is opinions are becoming facts, and they're not facts. And it's a dangerous ideology to even get stuck in. I've mentioned this before, but it's truly what they call group polarization. Is it's follow the leader, and that leader's jumping off a bridge, and are you jumping with them? Yes, and it's not the right way to go. So I'll go right into it, and this is from a pastor, and I'm not going to drag them into my stuff, but anyway, this is from a Republican pastor, is why I ended up liking it so much. He also has a book out. I'll get into that later. I'll actually, if anybody wants to message me, I'll get you the name of the book. But anyway, this is about the likening Trump to L.RON Hubbard. And if you don't know who that was the guy who basically invented Scientology. He invented his own religion, and he's got a ton of followers. There's no question about that. But he was full of so many failures in life. And, it's just really hard to explain. People can believe it, don't believe it, I don't care. But let me read this. All right. So Trump supporters compare him to Jesus when they should compare him to L.RON Hubbard. Malignant narcissist and the founder of the Church of Scientology, who, like Trump, allegedly didn't pay his taxes. But even this comparison is inexact. Hubbard, a prolific science fiction writer, started a religion by design, supposedly as a way to get rich. Whereas Trump became a cult leader haphazardly when he ran for president and accidentally won. Trump's previous experience consisted of multiple failures in business and in marriage, but he managed to con a party and then a nation into electing him. Failure in the management of practical affairs seems to be a qualification for success in the management of public affairs. Which, I really hate to, I'm not out to get Trump, but I'm out to prove a point that you can't have it both ways. With all these people that, and I put the banner on Facebook, I believe it was, is, a Trump rally where they're holding up a Confederate flag or ripping off the American flag, and underneath it's a Confederate flag, and the guy standing behind him says, only God and Trump can save us now. And I go over this time and time again, but I can't say it enough, is you're playing a dangerous battle right there, because first and foremost and first and only is you're leaving Jesus out of the equation. Now, you can say, well, he's got other good qualities, because I keep hearing that. I keep hearing that over and over again. And what are these good qualities? Is it 1989 when he tried to have these young men executed in Central Park 5? Is it all the sexual harassment allegations he has against him? Is it all the business failures, Trump Steaks, Trump University, many, many casinos? What are the good qualities? When he doesn't get his way, let's pay attention right here, because it's the truth. When he didn't get his way, he started bluffing. So it's like a poker game. He's saying, all right, unseal these, unredacted, redacted, unredacted, redacted. And it goes back and forth. And he's, bluffing every time, saying, yeah, go ahead and do that. And I think he's banking on the judge saying no to open these up. And what's amazing about it right now is the more and more they open up into this, the less and less people are sitting there following him. And as I mentioned last week, even Alex Jones, that far right, I don't even know if you call him a commentator, but he's more of a podcast guy, but he makes something ungodly, like, I don't know, just a ton of money per day just to spit out these conspiracy theories and stuff like that. Like the one he just got sued for was he had claimed that Sandy Hook was false, and that all these people were trauma actors, and that never really happened. But he was probably Trump's biggest supporter. And now that they're seeing the writing on the wall, they're abandoning ship. But still, his diehards that like to do Facebook politics are not giving up. So that creates a huge misunderstanding to me because, and I strongly believe this. This was told to me by a Catholic priest a long time ago. And along the way, I've asked other pastors and so on what it means. And that's using the Lord's name in vain. And it basically, a lot of people that I know be like, you can't say GD, you can't say GD. That's taking the Lord's name in vain. Well, you're wrong and you're right. It's all about context right there. But it's also bigger into being a false witness, and that is, Jesus is his name's name dropped more than anybody in the entire world, and has been and always will be. But what reasons is it dropped for? I mean, why are they saying, if somebody's saying, like Trump gets up there and says he's a proud Christian, and at the same time he's doing very, very derelict behaviors, awful behaviors. But for the crowd, is he a Christian in public only? That's a persona that I think is dangerous right now, because I know so many good and smart people out there who are Trump this, Trump that, Trump everything. And it makes no sense. As I've said to people this week, I said, find yourself a better candidate. Why would you want to latch onto this? And why would you want to bring Christianity into this? Let's get realistic for once. What is Christian about this? Where is Christ in all this crisis? I mean, Chuck D, public enemy. But I mean, these are realistic things I'm saying. And I know people don't like it. And, what are we supposed to do? Sit down and just, literally sit down and watch people get crushed by this nonsense, this constant rhetoric that goes on. I mean, that just makes us bystanders that like watching people get hurt, I suppose. It's, I deal with this all the time as people say, well, you can't talk about this, you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that. And I strongly disagree. If you know harm's coming and harm's looking somebody in the face and you don't say anything, what are you? What truly are you? You can say you're a good Christian? I don't think so. Now, getting back to this, there's always the main conversation now that I've been saying this for a long time. But Jim Jones and Trump have a lot in common. I mean, they really do. If you take now the numbers on the Jim Jones, Jonestown craziness. I mean, literally, I mean, he had all these people believing he was such a prophet that he even one time threw a Bible across the room on the floor and said, you can either pick your earthly God or your heavenly God. He thought of himself as a God. And it was between 908 to 938 people were, they don't want to call it a massacre because, he was so arrogant that he had the people drink cyanide. And I think there were barbiturates in it and everything else mixed in a fruit drink, which was actually Flavor Aid. It's not Kool-Aid. So I like to tell people to correct people on that whenever they say it. Just gives you a little bit of trivia. Let me see. Now, where was I getting to? I don't like the comparisons of Trump to Hitler because I don't think it's a Holocaust. But when you compare him to a Donald Trump, you got to think what happened during COVID with all the stupid, horrid advice Trump was given. I mean, there was 2,000 some odd people in this first batch here. And Trump was saying to inject yourself with chloride, and you all don't find this irresponsible. I don't know why. And I'm talking to some of you, not all of you. But so I'm going to also give you some Bible verses last night to kind of drill in my point. And, I'm not saying that all the Democrats are any better or they wouldn't do the same thing. I'm just saying when you associate Trump with Christianity, you're creating a dangerous bomb right there. And you've got people left and right. There's people who have died already because of them searching Mar-a-Lago, because they wanted to stick up for Trump. And guess what? The dude goes and shoots up an FBI building, and other people protesting, they're getting killed. They're protesting the police, and they're protesting Biden, and they're not protesting anything but their own ignorance and self-chosen ignorance. I mean, you don't have to be ignorant. And I always say this when it comes to racism and bigotry, it's taught. It's not inherited. It's not inherently learned. What I'm saying is it's not nature, it's nurture. So, again, I like to say this because my mom was a pretty cool lady in the first place. But she would tell me when I was young, if a white baby, a black baby, a Chinese baby, well, she actually said Asian baby, a Hispanic baby, and any creed and color there, we're all in a little nursery in a hospital. Would they hate each other? The newborns. And the answer to that's absolutely not. So, and it doesn't take psychologist or great scholar to tell you that you don't come born to hate. And that's just, I don't know how else to put it. All right. So now, I worked on this all day, and I got all sorts of comparisons and work because I don't like to go into things uneducated and just spout my side. I am a Democrat, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything. Um, it's a dangerous stigma to put Republican equals Christian. I put that on the title somewhere here tonight, I do believe. But okay. Hopefully, you and I both know that your religion is not determined by your political party, nor should that party be a reflection of your religious values. But the dangerous thing that this generalization has done is this: it insinuates that if you are a Christian, it is your God given duty to vote Republican. It also implies that whatever candidate the Republican Party has chosen is God loving and a Christian, who you should put in charge of your country. If you believe that, I love you. I feel sorry for you. And because this is what the polarization does, and what Jim Jones did, and what Trump is unfortunately doing, and what many of these so-called leaders have done over history. I mean, this is all history. And if you take Adolf Hitler and let's take the Holocaust out of it, just for who he was as a person, is he had to have people worship him to pull off this massacre for what he did. So in turn, these men have all made themselves gods of some sort, and it's only gods to who believe the nonsense. But again, we're born free thinking individuals, all of us. And just because somebody says they're a Christian, don't mean that you can just sit there and blindly follow them. I mean, it doesn't. And that's just the way it goes. So the dangerous stigma, Republican equals Christian. Many citizens of our country are under the impression that Donald Trump is that good Christian choice. And that is so very true. It's disturbing. I mean, you put your morals and ethics in the back door, or, you just leave them in the trunk of the car. And so you've killed off that person that you were born to be. I mean, without any truth, it's the same way I killed it off at the bottle for many years. Is that takes away from the worship of God, no matter what you say, no matter how anybody out here defends it, that Trump's a good man. Now, listen, he hasn't always believed in abortion. He believes in abortion for the crowd and the crowd at hand right now. That's where the charisma kicks in. I mean, you have to understand, Trump was holding benefits for the pro-choice folks back in 88, I believe it was, and then up into the 90s. And he was also at one point stumping for Hillary and Bill Clinton, and he was a Democrat. And he actually factually said that if he ever runs for president, that he'll run as a Republican because they're all dumb enough to vote for him. And this is the guy that you all, I mean, literally, you've turned him into like a Christian martyr. And that's insane, man. But and so here's a compiled list of Bible verses that definitely support my opinion on this. So if you trust in the words of your Bible more than you trust the words of your party, surely you will see that dear old Donald is in no way deserving of the position he's running for. So let's take James 1:26. English Standard Version. If anyone thinks he is religious and does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his heart, this person's religion is worthless. Okay, that's blunt, but I commonly hear people say that they like Donald Trump because he speaks his mind. There's a monumental difference in speaking your mind and throwing words without caution. The things that Donald Trump has used his platform to say should not only shock you, so they should offend you. His words are rash, prejudiced, and hurtful. And I'll actually give you some examples on this one. Try not to get offended. But these are direct quotes from former President Trump. You know, it really doesn't matter what the media write as long as you've got a young and beautiful piece of ass. That's one. And this is when he was, running for president. This is where he got so hurt over somebody saying he has small hands, which, sorry, man, but his hands are kind of small for his size. He's a pretty big dude. He spouts off, and this is on Fox News. He says, "My fingers are long and beautiful, as it has been well documented are various other parts of my body." Again, why? Now, this is from me I wrote. I'm really good at writing, but sometimes I get overtaken with it. Now, I don't know about you, but doesn't this sound like the kind of man who has the proper control over his tongue to me? Words are some of the greatest indicators of who we are. The president of our country should be able to process certain qualities, such as engaging in foreign affairs without flying off the handle. Not only is this concerning to national security at this point, but it's a warning of a sign of character. I mean, in general, let's say what he took out of the White House was not supposed to go out of the White House, period. I mean, he swore and took an oath to uphold the presidency of the United States. So now, in fact, he's acting, like it's his. He's even said this week that he wants the papers back, or last week, that he wants all the documents back from where they took them so that he could put them in his super beautiful, elegant, amazing, great big presidential library, because he said Obama did that. Obama did not do that. He had him go to Chicago where his presidential museum is. And he also had it go through the proper channels the entire time. So it was kind of just like, when that didn't work, he started making up more excuses. This is why. No, this is not why. This is why. Now this is why. I mean, it's literally turned into, as I said last week, he'd already lied 9 times in 7 days. It's gone above and beyond that now. He's up to 20 some in the past 2 weeks. And I just don't get it, why it's okay that he keeps tripping. I mean, if this was your child and they kept tripping over a lie and changing the story again, that's not going to be okay with you. But because he's Donald Trump, all of a sudden it's okay. I mean, this is bad. And this is where, and my dog in the fight is those of you that act like he is a martyr. You put him up on this pedestal and you're worshiping him. And let's do this fact for fact. There were more people that voted Democrat in the last election than there was far right conservatives. And that's just the absolute truth. Even some Republicans, they did not vote for Trump again. But I don't need to go over that. So the president you're sending out there and you're saying, we can't wait till 2024 when he runs again. Listen, let's pay attention to certain things. The gas prices rose 30% during Trump's last year presidency, 16% when Biden took over. These are actual facts. The fact that gas prices rose is not necessarily either president's fault as well. And I've said that. It's global market pricing. It's not Biden's pricing. It's not. So when people tell you that and you get running, you're like, oh, this didn't happen when Trump was president. Yeah, it did. And gas prices right now are pretty low. I mean, realistically, yeah, we've done good to get out as well as we have been. And again, somebody's going to bring up the pipeline to you. Just honestly research it. Do some of your own research so you don't think people like me are fanatical. That pipeline is just a delivery service. It's not going to change the prices of gas. And the little bit it will be coming like 6 to 10 years from now in the first place. And I'll go into it again as why didn't Trump do the pipeline instead of y'all blaming Biden for saying it's not time. It's not. And that's just the way it goes. If you want to be concerned and caring about the environment and prices and stuff like that, I will say get you a hybrid vehicle. Um, that's just factual and actual. There's plenty of hybrids that'll run as fast as many of your non-hybrids. And hybrid doesn't mean that it doesn't take gas, by the way, because I had somebody trying to explain to me how electrical cars will break down on the highway and then there's nothing you can do about it. That's not true in a hybrid car because you've always got the backup of your gasoline. And typically, a hybrid car, for example, I can speak on Toyotas and so on. What'll happen is hybrid doesn't get better gas mileage on the highway than it does in the city. So if you go look at a sticker on a, let's say a Rav4 hybrid, um, uh, my lady, Nurse Beth has one of those, and anyway, it might say um, 35 miles per gallon in on the highway, and then it'll say 40 miles per gallon in the city. And the reason is that engine shuts off a lot more in the city, going from light to light to light to light, and so on. But I mean, that's going to save you a ton in gas. I mean, it literally saves you a ton in gas. If it were somebody like me, I drive a 2000 Lincoln MKC C. I always forget that it's not the Z, it's the C. But anyway, so the gas mileage is not the best. It's a turbo. And honestly, I trade it for a hybrid right now, but I go about one tank of gas a month, it seems like at this point. Um, just because I don't drive like frivolous places. I don't drive just to drive and I'm bored. I mean, if I'm going to Lexington or something like that, the gas mileage isn't really a problem because mine's a highway car, SUV car, not necessarily good in the city type places. So that's how it goes. But let's go on. This is Hebrews 13:5, and this is the NIV Bible. Um, Keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have. Um, that means a lot to me. I used to be like that. It was shirt and tie every day, regardless. It didn't matter where I was going. I mean, just always looking the look and um, I'll say the most money I had in my life in 2003 or four is really when I started crashing because I'd bought my parents' estate out and bought their house, which is a 5-bedroom house, and I had two cars in the garage and everything, and I went through that whole house. I seriously did, and the floors were all wooden underneath the carpet, so I had that redone. And then I got in the kitchen, and I was like, well, if I do new ceramic tiles in here, and I get new countertops, like I got um, quartz countertops, not granite, but quartz, because you could actually take the pans as hot as they are, instead of nothing can damage the quartz. But anyway, and also it was a bragging thing. No reason to shy away from that bunch of nonsense. But and had the hot tub in the back, and man, I was miserable. I was just miserable. I started drinking a lot more just because every corner and inch of that house there was a memory. Somehow it was a closet. It was my sister's room. She used to be there. My parents' room. They used to be there, and I couldn't change it. Aesthetically, I could change it, but the memories never ever left because it's just in the human mind, I'm like thinking, okay, this is where we had Christmas, this is where we had the birthdays, and it was a way of me keeping my parents alive, but it was so disastrous that I ended up having it go to auction in 2005 or 2006 and got out of there. And I would definitely say my mental health improved somewhat. The drinking didn't because I was still pretty miserable with all things said and done, and that's just the way it goes. It was a major, just is a, I'll always say it's a perfect cocktail of self destruction. And there's no pun intended on that because a lot of people think I'm joking around. But all right. Countless people have told me that one of the reasons they vote for Trump is that they want a successful businessman in office. But how do we define successful in this context? He's made a lot of money, right? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. He's overvalued his properties. So you have to understand this. If he overvalues his properties and nobody knows what he has in the bank, okay? So he's basing all his value off the properties he has, but those are all loans. What's his debt to income ratio? We don't know. Could he be a wealthy man by looks, by aesthetics? Yeah. I mean, you look at Mar-a-Lago, you keep looking at other things, Trump Tower, so on and so on. But you have to keep this in mind. In that context, where he has made a lot of money, that certainly isn't a necessary quality in God's book. He warns us of greed and trickery. Donald Trump, however, basks in the glory of riches, which he does. And this gets me questioning every time I think about that is the 13 of the poorest counties in the U.S., in the entire U.S., are in Kentucky. And yet those counties came out in droves to vote for Trump last time. Is it envy? Is he selling you? Is he bending in? Is he hitting you on the head and saying, all of a sudden you're going to prosper and be rich if you get out and give me your votes and your money you donate? They donated a ton of their disability and whatever else out of these counties to Donald Trump. And it's because him and Mitch McConnell went down to Eastern Kentucky and said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make the lives of these coal miners better again. We're going to make these coal miners great again. We're going to make America great again. There's no truth to it whatsoever. Those counties are still the poorest counties in the U.S. And the coal mines have been drying up for a long, long time now. And what happens is when the owners of the coal mines got in there and they got rich, well, they left. There's a town like that I have a lot of experience with, Hazard, Kentucky. And, over the years that I've been alive, I've seen that go from a prosperous town almost to like a city. At one point, it was like a city in Kentucky that was like a city people would go see and go visit. But now it's like a wasteland. I mean, it's like a ghost town, I guess is the best way to put it, compared to what it once was. And that's because of once the dudes that owned the mines got rich, man, they bailed out of there. And they left a bunch of people, humans. Everybody says join the human party. Think about that. And but they left them all with a thing called black lung, which is when you actually inhale the coal dust, and it sets in your lungs worse than somebody who smoked for 50 years. And there's a lot of people. I mean, I would say the majority of Eastern Kentucky still is affected with black lung one way or another. But they come up there and said they were going to save it, they were going to change it, and they didn't. Neither one of them did anything. And that to me is just disrespectful. And again, it's worse than disrespectful because you're taking the Lord's name in vain. You're up there reading Bible verses, Mitch, and yeah, fake it till you make it, right? All right. Trump says, quote, when he was running for office again, this is all when he was running. He says, the point is, you can never be too greedy. The beauty of me is that I'm very, very rich. Man, if I had, let's think of all the counties here. And I'd like to go to Jessamine County because it's the most backwards place to me. And so majority of that town voted for Trump. And but if I go in there driving my Lincoln or something like that, I get called rich boy, or I've heard it all the time, stuck up, something else. I'm not, but because it looks like I have a nice car and it looks like I've got a nice things or something else, I'm looked down upon. But this guy is telling you that his entire value is not of God. His entire value is in money. He is attractive to all of us in his mind because he's very, very rich. And he says it himself. This is not stuff I'm making up. All right, so now let's go to Matthew 5:28 ESV. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Now, this is not a quote from me. This is from our Republican pastor again. Now, I'm not trying to single out Donald Trump for having completely natural biological urges. All of humankind has fallen prey to the allure of lust. However, to battle that with one's heart and to voice it out loud to others are two completely different things. What's that saying, or what he's saying right there? And I'm going to take a pretty good guess there. Is that would probably be about bragging in the bus to Billy Bush about being able to get. He's able to do whatever he wants with women because he's rich, and he owns them. I mean, that's just the way he looks at it. Um, but here's another way: the Lord calls on men to honor and protect women. Women are handcrafted by God, and they are to be respected. Donald Trump has been quoted as saying things that go directly against this God-given duty, such as grab them, where. And again, when I get beat up with the hatred for the next few days, which I don't even know why, he said this stuff. I'm not just making it up. I mean, this is not for me to say go vote for a certain Democrat. I'm saying make your choices based on, what are your morals and ethics when it comes down to it? I mean, is this guy living as your representative? I mean, seriously, is Mitch McConnell your representative? It don't make any sense. All right. Now, here's a list of adjectives that Donald Trump has publicly used to describe women. Okay. It's bothersome, man. I got my sisters and I don't know, man. My sister, the one closest to me is somebody to be looked upon as a very ethical and moral person. And, this stuff's disgusting. So here's the adjectives he used publicly: fat, dog, pig, slob, disgusting animal. And I don't know what it's going to take for this country to start valuing women properly, but having the guy in charge isn't going to do it. As a woman, you should be concerned that a candidate for president is getting away with talking about your demographic like that. As a man, you should be standing up for women in your life by saying that is not okay. Young girls in this world should grow up thinking those words are not okay because the president of the United States says them. If we elect this man, that will be the standard our girls will have for the men in their lives. And again, that is very true. You got to think about that. People put it out there. The same people that are saying music is secular and certain TV is secular. Man, some of the stuff this dude says is X-rated. I don't know how you can skip around that. It just really makes no sense. Let's see. Am I running out of time? I don't know. And y'all, I'm not saying this purely as a Democrat tonight. Again, I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm giving you some actual real examples of stuff he said and done, and then how that kind of goes into the Bible here. I mean, do they complement each other, or is it an explosion? Is it putting two north sides of the magnet together, or I don't know. I mean, that's up for each person to decide. I mean, does this fit with your ethics and morals? You really got to think about that. Does it fit with your version of godlike? These are all important things because I hear it preached all the time in churches around here, and that's Central Kentucky. And I hear all these people that are new to God that are coming out of, the rehabs or jail and being like, oh, praise God, praise God, praise God. He saved me. And then they're sitting around and doing meth or stealing from somebody. And it's just pulling a con. We use the Lord's name to pull a con. And that is what Trump's doing. And the fact is, if somebody's sitting there making fun of you to your face, this is truly, here's the only thing that the hardcore supporters can say is you are truly turning the other cheek. And I don't know if I would be proud of that. No, I wouldn't be proud of that. Really, because it's not okay when you're saying you're supporting it. And think about it. Think about your kids and stuff like that. They're going to grow up acting like Trump because you so much pushed it in their face that, oh, yeah, this guy's great. Ephesians 4:3 in the NIV is make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. A leader should work diligently to unite people instead of creating discord. Donald Trump takes this one step further. He actually encourages discord. He eggs it on. One of his rallies in Michigan, a protester was attacked by Trump supporters. Rather than handling the situation like an adult, Trump said, get him out. Try not to hurt him. If you do, I'll defend you in court. I mean, seriously, is there, I don't get it. He then followed up with the raving cheers and with, are the Trump rallies the most fun? We're having such a good time. Here he equated violence with fun. Surely a quality that our youth should not be looking up to. Number 5, Galatians 3:28, King James Version. There is neither a Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Christ Jesus. The message is clear. So if we close the gap of racial and gender disparity, we need a president who's going to come through on this important moral. All are to be equal. That means all. That means men and women. White people no better than black people. We all are equal in the eyes of the Lord. And I mean, you can't make it up. If you say he doesn't throw out there divisive rhetoric, I mean, you literally got to be blind to this stuff. And I don't understand that mentality. I know that Christ saved my life. I know that I was saved. I know that I owe my life to Christ. And, a lot of people sit around and talk about, well, we'll say that I'm not religious enough for them. And that's great because I'm not religious. I'm a follower of Christ. And there's a difference. It's easy to say you're religious. I did it for many years. That I believe in God. I'm religious. So that forgives all the junk you're doing right now. No, it don't work that way. But Matthew 5:28, ESV. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. I think I already did that one, didn't I? Yes. All right. That's it for me then. Yeah. That went quicker than I thought it would. I'm really not saying this to hurt or offend anyone, but I'm wanting people to actually, think before you speak. Think of what you're putting out there, because what you put out there on your Facebooks and on what you're saying in public, and you're really using arguments, which I catch a lot, which are arguments with no factual basis to them at all. And it's just, you hear what Trump or Fox News or Breitbart or Steve Bannon or somebody else says, and you just run with it like, hey, they said it, it must be true. I'm pretty sure, Satan's a liar. It doesn't take that much to figure that out. And, I'm no better than anybody else, and I'm not, and I never will be. But what I'm saying is, let the facts, let Christ speak to you, let something else speak to you. And I hear all these people that say they prayed and God told them to vote for Donald Trump. Does he tell you to keep voting? It's a legitimate question. So you have to go from there, and you have to decide what's important for you, your family, the future. What is it? Everybody's up in arms about these student loans right now. Well, do you not want a higher educated future? I mean, what I mean is your doctors, dentists. The list can go on. The nurses, engineers, the engineers, the builders that are giving everybody jobs. People are saying, well, I did trade school. Well, I believe trade school should be included with that as well, because if we didn't have people doing trades and these hard working trades, we wouldn't have houses. We wouldn't have anything else. We wouldn't have cars if it wasn't for the engineers, but then they need the people to put them together in the assembly line. So when you go with all that, is we do need higher education. If people can't afford it, they can't go there. And I know that, if somebody's making under 125,000 right now, and I put this in a post last week, but if somebody's making 125,000 and they're strapped to the nines with student debt, well, and they've got their mortgage, they've got the car payments, they've got their student debt, they got their cell phones. and everything else, because those are basically things you can't really even get a job without anymore. And well, except for the home. But so it comes around and they're able to get forgiveness on these student loans that are strapped. And let's think about this even for the people that are making 60, 65,000. The teachers out there, a lot of nurses. Even CNAs don't get paid enough. I mean, to pay off student loans. I mean, there's just truth to that. And so just think of the people there, let's say 60, between 60 and 100. All right, so that's all they can pay with their student loan debt. But if that student loan debt came back to them, then let's just think outside the box real quick. If they were holding off some home repairs, some other things like going out to dinner once a week with their family, but they can't afford them because they got to pay back all this debt. Well, guess what? That puts it right back in the system for those waiters, waitresses, bartenders, if they drink. I've already said that. The guys who are framing a house, the roofers, the plumbers. I mean, there's so much that goes on here. When it goes back into the system, the economy will go back up. And no matter what they're trying to tell you, I mean, you can look at all these Republican senators and House, and that one lady, I'm just going to call her Major or something. Really, I mean, she took out almost $2 million in yeah. It's so hypocritical. I mean, you got to think about all that stuff, and let's say it's $10,000 over 10 years. I could definitely I could donate to that cause. I mean, it's a pretty good cause if you ask me. But seemingly, if somebody's worshiping money right there, let's go back to that one real quick, and you're propelling it, you're aiding to this, and that's what I can't speak for everybody because I can't tell you what God's telling you, what God's not telling you. I know that God doesn't tell me to go out and vote for greed, misogyny, and things like that. So, I mean, everybody can make up their own mind. I'm just giving you my point of view. I'm giving you facts, and I'm giving you stuff from the Bible that you might want to think about. Just think about sometimes, because I can give you one other big truth right here is a lot of people who are on one side or the other, Democrat or Republican, can't tell you why they're Democrat or Republican, but their parents can tell you, their peers can tell you, and they still can't tell you. I mean, it's just the way it goes. Most people don't know why they're even voting or what this person's offering. Would you give would you hire Jeffrey Dahmer without giving him a interview? I mean, just go, oh, yeah, he's a Republican. I mean, you've got to really think outside the box on things like this. It has created discord and chaos, and it is factual that Donald Trump has probably killed more people than Jim Jones did. Jim Jones was just a concentrated version, and when you spread it out and all these COVID lies and everything else, I mean, he really did literally just lie about COVID to lie about it. But he seems to have that issue with, the truth doesn't matter. And, to me, I don't see a reflection of a man of God. And that's just the absolute truth and the best I can put it. But that's it for me this week. Bless y'all. God bless. I hope we can get back together on a playing field and actually use our minds instead of being brainwashed into just absolute nonsense. I mean, just think about all these things, the facts, and not what you're being told by somebody else, not even by me. Use your own moral compass. And, it's truly, I don't just believe in God anymore. I have faith in God. I don't believe that God exists. I have faith that God's here with us at all times. And no matter how I speak or, the reputation I get for being harsh and or for cursing too much or something else, dig into what I said there. I mean, I'm secular, and you wouldn't turn around and say Donald Trump's secular, and you'd let your kids listen to that nonsense. But that's it for me. And everybody, God bless. Have a good night. And I'll see you next Saturday at 8:30. I'm going to have some guests coming on with me from here out. I just wanted to cover this one last thing. And, I'm going to have some guests and go more into uh, what my main causes are, and that's mental health. I've got to have something get published, and this is in abnormal mental health. Just one of those papers you have to write for what I'm doing, and so get more into things like that and how we can mentally heal, and substance abuse healing is a different thing, and I really strongly do not think I would be here today. No, I know I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for God's divine intervention in all this. And, it's just the truth. It's been, a lot of people celebrate their sobriety birthdays. I don't. I really don't think about it because I think more of, this past year plus now, year and 3 months or so now, a year and 4 or 5, 6 months almost. I've had God to talk to at night. I've had God to help me make decisions. Sometimes I do get in my flesh. I'm Generation X. We've got a habit of cussing, and we do it more as like a common form of speech. I guess you could say we have a speech impediment, but it's like, I've got friends over in Scotland and stuff. And I can't say this enough, but I can't say what they say, but it's normal conversation. So, I mean, you're going to have to pick and choose which words are actually bad words as well in your life, because who decided they were bad words? I mean, I can go over that all day, but who decided it? Well, a lot of these words that are condemning, I can't find them. And if you can in the Bible, help me out there. I'd appreciate it. But that's it. Thanks, guys, girls, and ladies and gentlemen. Love you all, and good night, and God bless.